The Beast Inside is a single-player horror game that I bought with next to no expectations for. I just wanted a filler game while I work on some bigger projects. However, this game was a pleasant surprise of horror, the right amount of cliches, and a good enough mystery to keep you hooked provided you can stick with it past the first few hours. The story takes place in two different timelines, Adam Stevenson in 1979 and Nicholas Hyde in 1864. With Nicholas's storyline having much more of a traditional horror feel to it, Adam's storyline has a psychological feel to it. Although both have a good mixture of the same, I have to say I can't think of another game that has this split timeline as well as almost two different styles of horror inside the same game. When you play as Nicholas, you are chasing after a mystery murder man, while Adam's storyline you're convinced you're being spied on, so you're trying to find the spy.
The gameplay is pretty simple in this game. There's 13 chapters, with each chapter having a puzzle. Once you complete the puzzle, you move on to the next chapter. I won't be going into detail about every chapter or puzzle here, but there are a few that I want to talk about for some good reasons and some bad reasons. Chapter 1 has a pretty hard puzzle, and if you don't know what you're looking for, it can be completely overwhelming. However, this game has a really unique feature which allows you to skip the puzzles if you're stuck on them for too long. Now, I know you might be thinking that's cheating, and I just want to say, yeah, you're probably right, but having the ability to skip a puzzle like this in a horror game really keeps the flow of the game moving smoothly and gets you right back to the horror and the tension. Hold R to skip puzzle. I mean, like, I just don't understand it. We'll do the next one, I promise. Now, Chapter 3 has another pretty hard puzzle to decipher, but if you take your time and read through the instructions, you can beat it. Although on my playthrough, I got stuck here to the point where I knew the puzzle was complete, but my character just kept saying the same dialogue over and over, so I had to restart the game and log back in. This never happened throughout the rest of the gameplay, but this was something that kind of annoyed me in the moment. Now, Chapter 4 was my favorite chapter in this entire game, and that's because it has my two favorite things, a boss battle and a gun. The whole chapter, you're being chased by this creepy old guy, and it climaxes outside of a hotel where you have a boss battle with him, and he has multiple attacks, and you have to actually try. It's a genuine boss battle in a horror game, and I never thought I would want that, but I immediately wanted more of this type of gameplay after I beat this chapter. The last chapter I want to talk about is Chapter 8. It had a really hard puzzle, but it was super fun. It takes place inside an old mine, and there's a bunch of different paths you have to walk down. However, you have to go down each path in a specific order or you'll be stuck running in circles forever. I think this is the longest puzzle in the entire game. And oh yeah, while you're doing this, you're being chased by a crazy man who will kill you in one hit. In the ending of this game, without getting too much into spoilers, you can pretty much predict the ending of this game, at least the twist. However, what you can't predict is that at the end of this game, you're going to have two different multiple choice decisions that feel like actually impact the game itself. It's much like the boss battle, that it was something I didn't expect, but once it was over, I wish there was far more of this type of content in this game. Now, earlier I mentioned that this game gets you hooked, but it takes a few hours, and that's because the first couple of hours are just a slow burn. If you look at some of the reviews for this, especially the negative ones, they'll say that the game feels like it's just a walk-in simulator that calls itself a horror game. And that's really true for the first couple hours. However, once you push past it, it's really a fun experience. In fact, I stopped playing this game after about an hour and 10 minutes, took the day off, came back the following day, played it for another 35-40 minutes, and at that point I was already hooked. So if you can stick with it, the game really does a good job at hooking you in. The animation of the characters, especially the faces, are just bad, I'm not gonna lie. The voice acting was pretty bad as well at times, but luckily neither of those really affect the storytelling itself, with the exception of one last cutscene. I mean, just watch this.
It's over. You can't get away. Hear me. You're not going to get away with it. I know what you did. I followed the trail of your crimes. I've been to all the places you've spilled blood. There's just one thing that remains a mystery. Why? That's beyond my grasp.
but I do imagine that better voice actors and better animation is simply solved with more money. So for a smaller developer like Illusion Ray, I think they did a pretty good job here. Now, as far as I know, and according to their website, this is the only game that's been released. Their website also says they're working on The Beast Inside 2, that's in development, as well as 2 other horror games and 1 action adventure. In conclusion, The Beast Inside was a fun, enjoyable, and at times actually scary game. What more could you really ask for? With the boss battles and the decision making, as long as they improve upon those things, I look forward to the next game we see from these developers. But before we rate this game, I wanted to mention that on Steam, this game is priced at $24.99 American dollars. However, there are some websites that I went to where I bought this game for under $3 American dollars. That's right, 1, 2, 3. No matter what your view is on buying video games from websites that don't give money to the developers directly, due to me buying this game for such a cheap price, I will now be looking forward to whatever game comes out by these developers and will gladly pay full price. But as of the price, $24.99, I give The Beast Inside a 6 out of 10, making it Scary Harry 22 certified, and I would recommend this game to anybody looking for some good scares and a fun 10 hours.